Okay, welcome. This is proof number 9 on why the Igbos in southeastern Nigeria are the real Hebrews of the Bible. This proof number 9, we call it burial of the dead in the homeland. You see, the Igbos have this very interesting tradition. The Igbos only bury their dead in the homeland. If you're an Igbo person if an Igbo person dies, that person must be brought home to be buried in the homeland. And the Hebrews of the Bible have this same tradition. For instance, if you read the book of 2nd Maccabees, they talk about bringing their dead ones in battle home to be buried in Jerusalem. And you also read the story of Joseph when he died in Egypt. He was about 125 years old when he died. Even after his death, he was, I think he was mummified. He was kept, preserved. And when the Hebrews left Egypt, they carried his body to be buried in the land of Canaan, which they considered home. And the Hebrews stayed in Egypt for about 218 years, and they still kept Joseph and those who died, the patriarchs who died there, and they took all of them to be buried in the land of Canaan. This is a biblical tradition, and we the Igbos have it. And most of you may have heard of the Biafran War. During the Biafran War, we lost a lot of soldiers just to go to the front line and retrieve our dead fallen soldiers to be buried, given proper burial in the homeland. It's not like other tribes that I know where if somebody died, they can just bury the place anywhere. The colonial masters, the missionaries, were really astonished with this kind of tradition because you will never see you will never see a cemetery in Igbo land. I agree that there may be one or two cemeteries, but they were built by the colonial masters or by the missionaries, and you rarely see Igbos leave their loved ones to be buried there. Are you kidding me? There are stories of how maybe somebody works in a church or something with the missionaries, and when he dies, they bury him in the cemetery, and his family will go and dig him up and exhume him, take him to the fatherland, to the home, to the compound, and give him proper burial. This is our tradition. This is what we do as a people. No matter what it costs us, we bury our people. If we have a situation whereby the person cannot be retrieved, for instance, the person died in, I don't know, a plane crash or something, we go to the site of the death with the palm fronds, and then we touch it there on the ground and bring a palm front home and bury the person. A person is not considered resting in peace unless that person is buried in the homeland in Igbo land. That is our tradition, and you can trace that to the Bible. It's something that we do that sets us apart from the people around us because they don't do it, and that is biblical as well. So that brings us to proof number 10, and this proof number 10 is actually a very popular one. I call it the causes of Deuteronomy 28. The Igbos are the only tribe that meet these causes of Deuteronomy 28. Why is this important? You see, I've actually seen a number of videos where some Negroes in Americas talk about their Hebrew origin. Most of them talk about their being Israelites, which, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we do not call ourselves Israelite. We don't use the word Israel. It's a pagan word. And I want to reiterate it here. Whoever is listening or whoever is watching this video, we don't use the word Israel. We are not Israelites. We are Hebrew. The word Israel is a pagan word. And if you go to our website or if you watch our future videos, we'll be providing material to support that with proof. So I've seen a number of presentations from people, the Negroes in the Americas, how they are Israelites from their origin. They are partly correct, and that is because they are Igbos. The majority of them, of course, are Igbos. And I'll be showing that here because the Igbo people in southeastern Nigeria actually meet those causes. In fact, they are the only tribe that meet the causes in Deuteronomy chapter 28. If you're not familiar with the causes of Deuteronomy chapter 28, or even the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, please just stop now and go and read it. It's a very long chapter. I think it goes up to verse 68 or 68. In that chapter, Moses was telling the Hebrews will be blessings that will come to them if they follow the laws, the judgments, the commandments, the statutes, and the feast of the Most High. And then later on, he now gave them the curses that will come to them if they don't follow it. And this is a telltale sign. For instance, the Jewish people have been claiming to be the Hebrews of the Bible. And we know right now that they don't really keep this commandment of God. In fact, they really, I'm not trying to judge what they do individually, but by studying the Jewish religion, it's not even biblical. So why are they not facing these curses? They own the world, they own the banking system, they own virtually everything. And good, that's really good for them. I'm not envious of them in any way. However, why are these curses not following them? You see, this is why people don't believe the Bible, because they believe that the people of the Bible are not doing it and then nothing is happening to them. That is because they are not the people of the Bible. We that are the people of the Bible, we are not doing this, and it's happening to us. So let me take you back to those the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, the Most High said, Moses told the Hebrews that the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. From one end of the earth even to the other. Let me read it from the scriptures here. It said, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. If you come to Nigeria today, and I challenge anyone here, if you come to Nigeria today, there's a very popular saying that if you go to any part of the world and you don't see an Igbo man there, you should run back home because the people that live there are not humans. That's a very popular saying in Nigeria. Igbo people have been scattered all over the world. Again, I'm not even talking about the Igbos that have been sold to slavery. I'm only talking about those that are left in the motherland, because in Ezekiel chapter 5, in the book of Matthew chapter 24, those who are left and those who run away, those who escape, will be subject to this judgment from God. So even those of us who are left in the motherland, we are going through this. We are scattered all over the planet. If they are fighting or they are killing immigrants in South Africa, an Igbo mother is worried about her children. If they are killing immigrants in Malaysia, an Igbo mother is worried about her children. If they are killing people in Russia, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Angola, Syria, wherever, you name it, there are Igbos there. When you hear of Africans drowning in the waters off the coast of Italy or wherever, there are Igbos there. There is no Igbo person that does not have relatives that are scattered all over the world in different places. Again, there are so many tribes in the world. You don't go to any part of the world and see people from Zimbabwe or see people from Timbuktu. These people are even larger than the Igbo people in terms of population size. But people from Igbos, from this very small part of southeastern Nigeria, have been scattered all over the world. This is biblical prophecy. This is biblical prophecy. We're scattered from one end of the world. You hear Nigerians being killed in Malaysia, or Nigerians being killed in South Africa, or being killed anywhere. These are Igbo people, scattered everywhere, looking for daily bread, just looking for something. This is Bible prophecy, and this is judgment from the Most High. Is because we've left the God of our salvation, the God who made the covenant with our ancestors. We've left that, and that's why we became scattered all over the world. This is judgment from God. So the Igbos meet that curse of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64. In fact, let me challenge anybody that's listening to this. I don't care the country you are listening from, be it New Zealand or Madagascar or Alaska, anywhere you are. If you go outside, if you live even in Africa, let's say you live outside of Africa, right? Just go outside. If you see immigrants from Africa for a period of 1 week, please take this as a challenge to either prove or disprove whatever I'm saying here. For a period of 1 week, just go outside. If you see immigrants from Africa, ask them politely, please, where did you come from? I bet you, if you do this for 1 or 2 weeks, 50% of people you meet will be Igbos. I guarantee you that. If you ask immigrants from Africa where they come from, if you do this for a period of 1 or 2 weeks to get not accurate population size, 50% or more of the people you ask will be Igbos. I don't care the part of the world you live in. That tells you how our people have been scattered all over the world. Please do take it as a challenge, and you will see Bible prophecy unfolding before your eyes. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64. It's right there in the Bible, and we are living through it in today. The next one is Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68, and it says that let's read it here from the Bible. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." This is the Bible prophecy that talks about transatlantic slavery. The other Bible prophecy that talks about is Ezekiel chapter 38. But in this Bible prophecy, the curse of Deuteronomy 28 is, if you do not keep the laws and commandments of the Most High, the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships. And again, we are not talking about the geographical Egypt, because the geographical Egypt, from the Jerusalem to the geographical Egypt, you don't need to go by ship. There's a land bridge, about 300-mile land bridge, that is called the Sinai Peninsula. So you can just walk down there. So it's talking about the transatlantic slavery. The Igbo people make up the majority of people sold to transatlantic slavery. The Igbo people were the majority sold. And again, don't take my word for it. Go and read the book of Olaudah Equionu. He made it very, you will see him talking about his countrymen. In fact, there's a passage there, I can't remember the page, where he said that he knows some slave masters that will not buy slaves that are Igbos, that are not Igbos. If a black person is not Igbo, they will not buy them. They only buy Igbo slaves. Now, all over throughout the slave history, Igbos were the majority of the people that were sold. And now today, if you go to the internet, you see people, you see black Americans or people in the Caribbean talking about, they come from Ethiopia, or they come from South Africa, or whatever place they can mention. This is ridiculous. Nobody from Ethiopia was sold to slavery. The majority of the slaves come from Igbo land. The majority of the slaves come from Igbo land. And don't take my word for it, like I said. Go and read this book by Mr. Olaudah Equionu. You will see it clearly. And not only from his testimony. Maybe some of you have heard of what they call Igbo landing. Igbo landing is a site in Georgia, in the United States, where some Igbo slaves, when they were brought in from West Africa to the Americas to serve as slaves, they jumped into the water and drowned. And they say they better die as free men than serve as slaves. Just look it up. Igbo landing. It's a site in Georgia. It's still remembered till this very day. For those people who think that the white man just came to Africa and was just packing people and putting them in ship. No, a particular tribe was targeted for the slave trade, and that is the Igbo people. Especially when the British joined the slave trade, which was in the 18th century. In fact, let's look at it. Let's get it here from an eyewitness who lived during the slave trade. And I'll be reading from this book by Dr. Elizabeth Isichei. The book is called The Igbo People and the Europeans, The Genesis of a Relationship to 1906. Now, in that book, in page 46, there's a written witness by a man named Captain John Adams. And the book he wrote is called Remarks on the Country Extending from Cape Palmas to the River Congo. He says in that book, the 18th century, and I'm quoting him directly here, he said, the 18th century was the period when the largest number of slaves were exported. During this period, the trade was dominated by the English, who drew the bulk of their slaves from the Bight of Biafra. Probably the years 1730 to 1810 covered the period of the slave trade most serious impact on Igbo land. As for the 17th century, We have no adequate statistical data, but only a number of estimates. Captain Adams, who made 10 slaving voyages to Africa between 1786 and 1800, stated that 20,000 slaves were sold annually at Bonny. 16,000 of them Igbo. That's 80% right there. Over a 20-year period, he estimated that 320,000 Igbos have been sold to European slaves at Bonny and 50,000 at Old and New Calabar. End of quote. You have a place where they're selling 20,000 slaves and 16,000 of them are Igbos. The Igbo landing is a historical mark that is there. You see, a lot of people think that the Europeans were just coming to Africa and picking people any black man they could see. No, a particular tribe was targeted for the slave trade, and that is the Igbo people. So a particular tribe was targeted, and that's the Igbo people. The Igbo people were the ones targeted, especially when the British joined the slave trade. And this is a testimony here from someone who actually witnessed it, and his name is Captain John Adam. You also read the book of Cotton. The book is called the Atlantic Slave Trade on page 221. All these can be found. All these are references from the book of Dr. Elizabeth Isichei. This is what our people are going through. First of all, we've been sold to slavery because we stopped worshiping our God, started following Christianity, because we started worshiping idols, stopped following the status that He has given us, and then we started following Christianity, and we were scattered all away from our homeland. We built properties during the Biafra War. Igbos that live in different parts of Nigeria, actually, if you build a house or something, let's say you live in northern Nigeria or western Nigeria or even southern Nigeria, if you build a house, by the time after the war you come back to your house, somebody will take it over. And these are all in the Bible. They will take it over and ask you, you will start afresh, you will be living on the streets, and you will see people living in your house. You will build houses and you will not inhabit them. This is all right there in Deuteronomy chapter 68. So, in Deuteronomy chapter 68, it's right there. You see, the Most High will bring you to Egypt in ships. Egypt is not the geographical Egypt. This Egypt means the house of bondage. In fact, if you read Exodus chapter 1 verse 13, it says it clearly that Egypt is the house of bondage. So it's saying here that if we don't keep this commandment, the Most High will bring us to bondage again in ships. My great-grandfather's sister, for instance, was sold to slavery. We have people the Igbos were just being caught and sold to slavery on a daily basis, and you can read your history, and that's why it's so sad when I look at Negroes in the Americas talk about their Israelites origin, which is a word they shouldn't be using in the first place. They talk about coming from Ethiopia. I mean, look at the map. The transatlantic slave trade never went through Ethiopia. Ethiopia did not see the Atlantic Ocean. So how did that happen? And again, if you look at where Igbo land is located in the map in West Africa, the white man could have stopped anywhere to pick slaves. They went through Guinea-Bissau, they went through Ghana, Togo, whatever. They had to come to the Bight of Biafra to pick Igbos. And this will tell you clearly that this particular tribe was targeted, and this was a punishment from the Most High for us not keeping His laws. So it's important, brothers and sisters, or whoever is saying this, it's important that when you realize that we are going through a course, we are living through a course from the Most High, because we have departed from the laws He has created for us. The statutes He has ordained for us. So it's important when you realize this, you find your way back to the Most High. And I know, unfortunately, we will not be able to worship like Abraham did. We will not be able to get back the method of worship that Moses and Abraham did. But it's far better to follow the right religion wrongly than to follow the wrong religion rightly. if you are worshiping with, if you are a Christian, let's say you're a Protestant, Redeem, or whatever, Deeper Life, whatever church you're going to, you're worshiping the wrong God. If you're a Catholic or practicing any kind of modern Christianity, you are worshiping the wrong God. You have to be a Hebrew. It doesn't mean that you do not believe the Bible or the New Testament. In fact, it's when you do that that you actually believe the Bible more. So we are burdened by this ignorance among our people, and we are making this presentation to whoever is interested in doing, just watching, to understand what we're actually doing and how to come back to the most high of our salvation. And so that with that we've presented I haven't lost track. Well, that was our proof number 10 and 11. And we are not yet done. There's so many similarities between the Hebrews and the Hebrews of the Bible. And we'll be just giving you some, just to keep this presentation within limits. We'll just be giving you some in the slides.